I, Samantha Spalding, President, call this work session to order under the Open Public Meetings Act at 6:03 p.m. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Runnemede Board of Education calls to be posted at the Borough Hall, Runnemede Post Office, Maryville School, Lyon Bingham School, Grace Downing School, and advertised in the Carrier Post on March 4, 2013, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Roll call, board members.
Patricia Adair. Here. Angel Beebe. Here. Charles Buckheim is absent. Naomi Davidson. Here. Maria Panzarella.
Here.
Patricia Smith. Here. Samantha Spalding.
Here.
Lynn Chirillo is absent. John Moore.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. There's 7 present, 2 absent.
So the agenda, Joanne put the agenda on the table for us, and at this time, I would just like to quickly go through the agenda before you have some more budget information for us.
That's fine.
Okay. So under A, we will approve the school budget. There is a contract for a homeless student that is also attending Gloucester Township Public Schools. And wireless clocks, and that has to do with the new PA system. So I have a question on that. They'll be like, under finance. So they're like going to be replaced
There's still going to be that look though.
they're still gonna,
wireless, so that everything, so that when like the time changes and all, they can do it from the central program and change all the.
so it's not gonna be like a digital, it's just gonna be.
No, not a digital
I
readout,
gotcha.
but, and actually, I don't think that would be a good idea, especially with testing, because of, the times that are allowed, so that would be.
So it's still gonna look like
Yeah,
that.
because I don't think any schools use a digital face on any of their clocks.
But the, right now what we have is that, depending on the room you're in, it gives you the time it is. So their rooms are, sometimes they're a couple minutes fast, sometimes they're a couple minutes slow, so there's no synchronicity, that ties into the bell schedule. So the clocks will all tie into the bell schedule now.
And that is it. Anybody have any questions, concerns, issues? I also asked before the meeting about number 2, the homeless student, and that is a new student, because previously we approved one for Gloucester Township. So this is an additional student, and Nancy informed me that we only need to pay for 1 year total. No other questions?
Why do we pay, I don't understand that, is it Gloucester Township student, how's that?
It was a Runnemede student,
Okay.
and they went to apply at Gloucester Township and said that they were applying at Gloucester Township because they were homeless. They had to move in with family double up, and it's the law that we need to pay that district's tuition for the year, for 1 year.
Because that's, we were the last district of residents, and actually, the law has changed. In the past, it could have gone on for a while, so at least now they're putting a threshold on that after a year, the district home residence is no longer responsible for that.
So though that child is going to school in Gloucester Township, they could have chose to stay here.
They could have,
Okay.
And then we would have just been
transportation, right, and then we would have had to pay for transportation.
Okay.
Is it for the remainder of the school year or next school year?
Well, the remainder of this year, and then our maximum threshold would then be till November 19th, because this will be starting November 19th.
I see, okay, thank you, okay.
If circumstances change and we can find out or prove that they're no longer in the classification of homeless, then we're no longer responsible for the tuition.
How do you find that out?
I'll follow up, and we do pretty good in doing that.
So you go and do home visits and things like that? Or?
No, actually, like our homeless liaison will contact the other schools as well to find out, but she also contacts the parent too to find out what their living situation is as well.
after a certain period of time, if they decide to reside in that home and make that their permanent residence, that has to be physically said for that to be continued their,
In writing.
or considered their permanent
Yeah,
residence.
yeah. And right now, what's in writing is not that. Yeah.
So I can move out and move in with a family member in another town.
Right.
Choose to go to that school,
Homelessness
say I'm
or curfew
homeless,
is
and
what
Running
you're
has to pay my kids' tuition.
You're doubled up out of necessity.
Doubled up out of necessity, which we all could be.
But I would think that to show that you're now no longer a resident of Runnymede, that you would need to get some information.
Oh, they're
Driver's license and stuff like that, you couldn't just keep a residence if it was in foreclosure or something, and it wasn't yours anymore, you couldn't really use that, right? So they would have to
They
get.
have to prove residency
Yeah.
in the new town.
In the new town.
Yeah.
Right, but the proof residency isn't just getting a driver's license.
No, I know, but some kind of
Right, so you
something.
need a statement that says this is now a
Right.
permanent residence. I guarantee you, it's wherever your homelessness occurs, is a district that is responsible for the payment.
Right.
And that's why we're responsible for this payment.
Right, and they sign an affidavit when they get there. What happens often, and we do it now too, is that when people come in to register, we ask them, as they do, are you homeless? And here are the reasons why you could potentially be homeless. And, so that we
Can also.
can also
Do the same.
identify people, that are homeless, and then we would collect tuition. And are we collecting tuition from anybody?
We have a couple that were actually placed by Division of Youth and Family Services, so, yeah, we have that reverse situation, so hopefully they'll wash this year.
Pursue that.
Yeah.
So how long do we wait before we follow up? Do we wait a significant period of time before we double check and make sure that the situation hasn't changed, or how long? The time frame?
Periodically, I don't know that she has a specific time that she goes and will check again, but I can, for this school year, I don't foresee any change. But I would definitely make sure that the situation is, has changed as of September 1.
Do we check with social services and make sure that they're not placed somewhere else by a services department?
Oh, that happens, yeah, but in this situation, that's not, in this particular case, that's not the situation. But yeah, social services, or the person here that's a homeless liaison does that on a regular basis.
Any other questions? Joanne, you had some stuff for the budget?
Yes. Okay. The main purpose of this special meeting was in order to approve submitting our tentative budget to the county for their review and approval. So on the 27th, when we had our last meeting, we had not gotten our state aid figures. And the 28th is when we actually received our state aid figures. So on my narrative on the front there, it's just giving you a quick little recap of what happened. We got an increase of $18,003. And really, what that represented was an increase in our school choice aid of $17,507, and that was due to an increase in our enrolled students in the choice program, and an additional new aid amount of $496. So what they did was maneuver around all the other aids as far as what they call the equalization aid and the special ed aid, and that went up or down, but in effect it was a flat, just like we kind of expected, was flat funding for that. So what caused our increase was really the school choice and this new, however they calculated this new adjustment aid for what they called adequacy at $496. So that was our increase over last year's total state aid package. So with the $18,003, what I did to add that to our appropriations was we're going to need a new MD class here at Volts. So they're going to need supplies and training for that program. So I added some money into that, and also what happened last week is I got the results of our workers' comp audit for 11-12, which caused an increase in the premium of about $7,000. So I had to increase what I had in my appropriations for workers' comp insurance as well. So between those two line items, that's where the $18,003 went.
MD, just so you know, is okay, I just wanted to make sure you know. multiply disabled.
Was that increase in workers' comp due to a claim, or was that just?
Well, over 11-12, it could be a lot of situations because we're in with a group as well, so I can, yeah. And I don't foresee that going down in the future either, so that's why I didn't want to not adjust for that as well. Because it's based on their audit of 11-12. And typically, I can tell you right now that typically $100,000 for workers' comp insurance is pretty common. So, yeah.
Is that about where we're at?
Yeah. Okay, and then what, the other items that I included was just the revised sheet that showed you the revenue, and then the increase for the 18,000 additional that we received. The second page was the revenue detail, which breaks down some of those numbers that you saw on the first page as far as what the different items were called. And then in the state aid, that's where I showed you the difference between what I originally gave you on the 27th and then after our aid award. And it shows the $18,003 increase. And then also is the appropriation page is the same as what I had given to you on the 27th, but I just updated for the 18,000 grade adjustment as well. And my last comment that was on that narrative was talking about the tax comparison by school year between 11, which is I guess the second page from the end, which actually compares or shows you the tax rate between 2011-12 to the proposed 13-14 school year, and the rate that is then calculated on a calendar year basis by the borough and the changes in the tax rate. And the big change here, which makes it very hard to compare, is the fact that the town went through a reassessment, right? So it's going to be hard, it's hard to compare from last year to this year because the assessed values are all going to be different now. So that's what I was trying to explain in that paragraph. So if you bear with me, I'll just read through that. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Due to the reassessment in the borough, you'll notice that the rateable value has gone up. This increase in the assessed value results in a decrease in the tax rate that's applied to the new assessed values. The change in the tax rate using the new assessed values has actually decreased 11.52%. However, that affects each homeowner, the effects that affects each homeowner will depend on the, will depend on the percentage of increase or decrease in your property's assessed value. Had the property assessment stayed the same, I could calculate that the average home assessed at approximately $100,000 would see a tax impact of $10 for the year. But due to the change in the assessed values, a comparison of household tax impact from 2012-13 budget to the 2013-14 budget would involve calculating each assessed value and the appropriate tax rate separately and then comparing the difference between the 2 years. When the values stay the same from year to year, the change in the rate can tell you the overall household impact with one calculation, but due to this change in the assessed value, you can't do that as easily. So that's what I was trying to explain in that respect. So it's going to be, you're going to have to take it on an individual basis as far as what your new assessed value is, and then the rate to find out what impact it's going to have for you now compared to last year's assessment. Did you have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Angel, do you have questions? Okay. Okay.
Fine.
So
Fine.
this
Good.
isn't even, that question doesn't, it won't even be an issue amongst because it's under 2%. It won't even be.
It won't even, yeah, it does not need to be voted on because it's under 2%. We stay within.
Right, I moved it to November and said that we would stay under the 2%.
Yes.
And that's what-
1.97.
That's why all the news that Joanne had told us last week was so wonderful, because we're doing all of that and still staying under cap.
Right.
And when we present to the public on March 27th, we'll make sure that
We highlight those things.
we highlight all the things that the board is able to do for the facilities, holding on to every staff member, increasing, all of the things that we're able to do, and, stay still.
Even adding, we're gonna add staff members,
Adding positions.
adding positions to our district,
Trying
to make it better.
Right, and trying to restore some of the things that we lost a few years ago, and then add some additional.
All right, if there's no other questions, then we'll break for recess and begin our regular meeting at 6:30.
Thank you.
Do I need a motion for that?
For work session?
I need a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion made by Patty, seconded by Maria. All in favor? Aye, so motion is. The Running Board of Education meeting is called to order. The Board of Education is in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act. The time, date, and location of this meeting was appropriately advertised by notifying the retrospect and carrier post, as well as posting notices in Borough Hall, Runnymede Post Office, Marywold School, Alliant Bingham School, Grace Downing School, and the Runnymede Public School District website. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, board members.
Patricia Dare. Here. Charles Buckheim is absent. Maria Panzarella.
Here.
Samantha Spalding.
Here.
John Ward.
Here.
Angel Beebe. Here. Naomi Davidson.
Here.
Patricia Smith. Here. And Lynn Terrell is absent. 7 present, 2 absent.
At this time, we'd like to recognize the citizens for public comments on agenda items only. The public is reminded they should attempt to resolve problems and or complaints through initial contact with the staff member or members involved therein and the chief school administrator prior to petitioning the Board of Education. Complaints should only be brought to the board after the appropriate school staff has had a reasonable opportunity to resolve the problem at the employee level. Statements should be limited to topics to be addressed on the published agenda and limited to length in 3 minutes. Hi. Mr. Schmidt.
John Smith, Boston City Attorney. Just going over the agenda, item number 3 from SJPP. Is that a proposal that the district put out and they responded to?
That proposal is through a shared service agreement, which is something that the county and state want districts to go through, and they satisfy all the bidding requirements by going through such a shared service agreement.
What's Sterling?
SJTP.
Which is run through Sterling?
It's a enterprise fund or a separate entity to Sterling High School District.
What type of shared service, I mean, is it with other districts that you guys entered into with them?
I'm not following your
You're saying
question.
it's part of a shared service with whom?
That's what they're called, shared service agreements.
With
When you,
whom? Who are the other parties?
we're not given an agreement that has everyone else that might also join a shared service agreement with SJTP. If you're asking me who else has a shared service agreement with SJTP, I would have no idea. That information is not privy to me.
It's a consortium. So by working through SJTP and this consortium agreement, they satisfy all the bidding requirements and we work with them.
And purchasing guidelines.
Purchasing guidelines.
And this was part of something that we approved last meeting with a new PA system, because our PA system was failing. It was very old,
Is that through SJTP as well?
and it was a security issue.
Is that through SJTP as
Is
well?
that,
Because I guess when you said shared service, with whom is the other government entity that you're in the shared service? Normally shared-
SJTP is the lead agency in this consortium. And actually, we actually went out for other quotes on this entire system. And actually, this turned out to be the best quote as well.
Thanks for explaining it.
can you just remind us what SJTP, what that acronym is for?
South Jersey Technology Partnership.
Right.
It's South Jersey Technology Partnership, just in case you didn't
I know what it is. I've always questioned it. Thought it was interesting. Somehow the school board, the school district itself started this. It's kind of interesting.
It's different, that's for sure.
Question on your budget or your proposed budget. I came in the tail end of your workshop. Projected is your, rather than with the reset, your total line item, is that more than last year, or are you holding the same as last year?
If you're asking about the tax levy is going up 1.9%, 1.97%.
All right, well, I guess that's the world of 2% caps the voters don't vote on it. I thought I heard something that you guys were holding the line and there wasn't going to be tax increase. And especially with.
There's still expecting an increase, correct?
Well, that will vary.
It's just, it depends on everybody's new assessed value, to
Is your,
say,
but
like,
your,
where we
your,
use this.
is your overall budget, not necessarily tax levy, but the overall budget, whatever your budget for the school year, into next school year, is that number changing, that 12
Yeah,
million?
it would always change.
Okay. So,
If you want to, at our public hearing, there'll be a whole explanation of all the things that we're going to be able to do within this budget in order to address all the district needs, so I think everyone will be happy.
And that's March 27th. That's it.
Samantha, if I'm hearing this, did you give your dollar amount yet, or you didn't do anything?
No. Is there not an agenda there for you?
Yeah, but I came in late, so I never had that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We have
Is there public comment now?
Public comment on agenda items.
Sorry.
That's okay, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, sometimes the government agencies talk, sometimes they don't. Do you know what the projected rate with the borough is and Blackford Lake Regional?
Do I know
No.
anything about, do we know anything about their budgets? I personally
No.
don't, do you? I'm assuming I believe they just have a special meeting as well, to approve, to get these to the state, that's why we're doing this. Any other questions? Okay, under finance, I need a motion to approve item number 1, the 2013-2014 proposed school budget.
A motion to approve your school budget.
Motion made by Patty,
Second.
seconded by Maria. Any additional questions? Roll call.
Patricia Adair,
Yes.
Angel Beebe,
Yes.
Naomi Davidson,
Yes.
Maria Panzarella,
Yes.
Patricia Smith,
Yes.
Samantha Spalding,
Yes.
and John Ward.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Also need a motion to approve items number 2 and number 3 under finance.
I'll make a motion to approve number 2 and number 3 under finance.
Motion made by Patty Adair,
Second.
seconded by John. Any additional questions? Roll call.
Patricia Adair,
Yes.
Angel Beebe,
Yes.
Naomi Davidson,
Yes.
Maria Panzarella,
Yes.
Patricia Smith,
Yes.
Samantha Spalding,
Yes.
and John Ward.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
At this time, the public is permitted to comment on non-agenda items. Does anyone have any comments based that is not on the agenda at this time? Any questions, comments? Oh, there is one more additional item that I need to have. I need a motion to have an ad hoc personnel committee of Naomi Davidson, myself, Angel Beebe, and Lynn Cirillo to meet in regards to a superintendent evaluation. The reason why we want to meet is to be in compliance with CUSAC requirements and to hold a meeting of just the 4 of us to go through and come up with a narrative before Nancy goes in order to be in compliance. So I need a motion to allow
I make a
the
motion.
committee to meet. Motion made by John, seconded by Patty. Does everyone understand? Does anyone have any issues?
Who was on the committee?
Naomi Davidson, Angel Beebe, Lynn Cirillo, and myself. And the reason why I picked the 4 of us was just because that's who the personnel committee was last year. Roll call, please.
Patricia Adair,
Yes.
Angel Beebe,
Yes.
Naomi Davidson,
Yes.
Maria Panzarella,
Yes.
Patricia Smith,
Yes.
Samantha Spalding,
Yes.
and John Ward.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Our next regular board meeting is March 27th at 7 PM. The public meeting starts. Our work session will begin at 6 o'clock. Please ask if all interested parties to come out, because that will be our public budget presentation, and I think that you'll be pleasantly
I'll put a
surprised.
Global Connect out too, Mrs.
Oh, good.
So everyone knows.
All right, any other questions? I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Maria,